Hey there, thanks for joining us. This is Ariana, my model today, and I am Sarah Russell. And today we are going to go through a little tutorial on how to do Chaturanga. So I think it's one of the most under-taught things that we do in our yoga practice, but most studios that we go to just kind of fly us through that. When we teach sun salutations, we generally don't cue how to do Chaturanga, and so I just want to start with that. So the basics of the posture, we're going to actually do it standing first. So when we're in a plank pose, this is essentially what we look like. And so Chaturanga, a lot of people tend to come down here. And you can see that the angle between my shoulder to my elbow to my wrist is really tight. It's less than 90 degrees. And so we want to make sure that when we land in that Chaturanga position with some buoyancy gathered from the earth, that we land right down here. So the number one thing we need to do is pay attention to where our hands are when we first are going down into the posture. And then from there, we need to make sure that we don't go in front of, let the shoulders dip below the elbows. So we're gonna use some blocks today too. So if you wanna make sure your blocks are nearby, Ariana. And so we're gonna actually start in plank. I think that's gonna be the best scenario for us. So if you wanna start in plank. And so if we're in plank and we're in that true plank, we can always measure out our plank because we want our forearm. And so we tend to, especially when we're tired, we tend to have the shoulders back a little bit further. I know when I do mountain climbers, I tend to be a little too far back. So we're gonna come forward slightly so that the shoulders stay directly over the wrist. That way the fingers can really grip into the earth as well. And then from here, we're gonna place a block right between the hands. And we're gonna come down and tap the block with our chest. Now, as we start to lower down, notice how the hands are a little forward because we didn't cue her to move anything else. But you can see that we're in that right angle, so that's a good thing. Ariana, you can push your way off the block. Okay, so from here, what we need to do in order to get into Chaturanga is we would like to bring our body forward into the toes just a little bit more. What that does is it shifts the shoulders further forward so that we come down, we've got that right angle. So now I'm gonna go ahead and lower the block a little bit more, give her some room, and go ahead and exhale, begin to lower, bring your eyes slightly forward. So now we got the angle a lot better. Go ahead and come up and away. You can rest in down dog if you want to. So Chaturanga is a posture, Chaturanga Dandasana. It is a posture, it's that halfway push-up position. And so what we want is our hands, like I said, perfectly positioned so that we can get that right angle. And then we also want to make sure that we're not dropping the shoulders. We tend to round the shoulders forward. And Ariana is the perfect candidate for this because that's one of the things she's been working on in her yoga practice is not rounding the shoulders. So we're just going to focus on that push down without coming into the back bend of the upward facing dog. We have a tendency to kind of dive right in and move into that upward facing dog because it kind of catches us. And so if we don't do the mechanics properly, it still enables us to kind of fluster our way through the posture. And we're going to try to implement that today. So from here, go ahead and inhale, roll forward to high plank. And you know your down dog and plank are in the right position because when you roll forward, you're in that perfect plank with the wrist over the or underneath the shoulders. So then as she comes forward, inhale, slightly come forward, exhale, begin to lower, pull the elbows back towards the hips as you lower down. So the body stays engaged, thighs are strong. Inhale, push straight up into your push-up position, and then exhale into down dog. And you can relax and come to your knees if you want to. But that's gonna be the best thing that you can do kind of over and over again. In most classes that we teach Chaturanga or we practice Chaturanga in, that posture is used as what we call a connecting vinyasa. So it's used over and over and over again every time we shift the sequence either to the right or the left leg, or we change the sequence in some way or another. And so if we can actually eliminate the doing that in a vinyasa class quite so much and actually bring purpose to moving through Chaturanga, it's gonna make students stronger, it's gonna make you stronger, and it's just all together, we're not gonna have any injuries. So if you have a wrist, shoulder, neck, elbow injury, if you're really working on getting a little bit more strength in the core muscles like the abdominals, the low back, or the quads, it's okay if you don't have all the strength to do this. Use the block, lower to the block. I'm gonna show you another variation of how we can use the block. So from here, we're gonna actually put the block under your hips as well. So you might have to measure it out a couple times. That way we also know, because what happens is people start to dip in the low back. And I want to just come up to a plank posture for a second. So Ariana's she's an ex-gymnast, so she's got to work on pulling those shoulders back. And as she pulls those shoulders back, it's really important to create that space right here. So notice how the back side of the body puffs and rounds, and the shoulders tend to want to come forward. So we have to find that kind of happy medium place. From here, inhale, pull forward, and gaze slightly forward. Create that back bend sensation through the upper middle back. Belly engaged. Exhale, begin to lower with strong quads. And let the thighs actually touch that block if you need to. Are you on it? Okay, good. And so that enables us. So we're a little low here. So what we need to do is engage the shoulders up slightly. And we also had her go a little bit lower. So I'm going to just readjust the blocks first. So go ahead and come back into down dog or onto your knees. And we're going to see what it's like for you to not go quite as low. And I'm going to bring that a little further forward so it lands more at your pubic bone or your hips, okay? So from here, inhale, and we'll go ahead and lift this one too. Okay, so from here, go ahead and inhale, move through your float into high plank. Good, a little mini back bend at the top, belly pulled in, thighs strong. Exhale, begin to lower and take all your weight down towards the block. So I want you to just pause right here. I want you to pay attention to that right angle again. Really focus on pulling the shoulders back. And then she might do well to even pull those hands back slightly, but they're not really in that dangerous position. So the quads stay active and engaged. So if this is a challenge for you without letting the hips sway and drop down, or you want to use your knees, this is a really good way to start to build the strength because you can practice kind of trying to hover off the block and then lowering back down a little bit more. So from here, Ariana, whenever you're ready, inhale straight up into that push-up position. Good. Let's try one more. How's it feeling? Good. Go ahead and pull the heart forward when you're ready and take that, really bring the eyes forward. So our body's going to go where we're looking. And so as we come forward, now lower down and then slowly push up. And you'll notice the angle of her hand was a little better. Did that feel any different? Yeah. Okay, good. So now we're going to let her go ahead and bring in that downward facing dog, all the way to the plank and into upward facing dog. So inhale, roll forward. We're going to move with that breath. Exhale into Chaturanga. So she's already engaged forward on the mat. And then as she inhales, she's going to roll over the toes, lifting through the heart. And so this is that other posture that we don't take a lot of time in. And we're not going to totally do a tutorial, but really focusing on pulling up through here, pressing the sternum up and forward, rather than focusing on wrenching back. So if the heart can come up and forward, everything kind of falls into place. Beautiful job. Weight is in the tops of the feet, and she's going to coil right on back into the downward facing dog. Good work. How you feeling? Good. All right, we're going to just do one more Chaturanga. This is a lot of Chaturangas that we're doing today. So if you're already tired at home, you can always take a variation of coming down to the knees and still keeping that nice long straight line. When you're ready, Ariana, go ahead and inhale, roll forward, high plank position. Exhale, halfway down, eyes forward. Inhale, upward dog. Beautiful job. And downward dog when you're ready. So there you go. That was just a down and dirty little Chaturanga tutorial. I hope you got something out of it, and we'll see you soon. Namaste.